The thoughts, views, and comments expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on Beyond the Headlines are not necessarily those of management, ownership, or production unit of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is a production of ILTV Studios and cannot be reproduced or represented in part or entirety without express written permission of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is the intellectual property of the Verizon Media Group. Copyright 2021.
Coming up tonight, it's one of the more powerful nations in the CARICOM community. Tonight, Jamaica decides which party, the JLP or the PNP, will lead the country moving forward. We speak with a Bahamian in Jamaica tonight on what's been happening across Jamaica. Also tonight, jitney drivers say the government has failed them. We hear from them and understand what it is that they are talking about. This is Beyond the Headlines. Good evening. I'm Shanique Miller. It's good to have you along this evening. More than 2 million voters eligible to cast their ballots in a nation of 2.8 million people. While voting ran smoothly in most areas, we're speaking of Jamaica, of course, some of the more than 7,000 polling stations saw long lines and delays. The Electoral Office of Jamaica says that the long lines were due to voters showing up without their voter's card. As a result, they had to undergo alternative verification procedures, which lengthens the process time. By 3 o'clock Jamaican time, voter turnout stood at just over 30%, according to the Electoral Office. A Jamaican local daily suggests that the low numbers may be linked to procedural delays in parts of the country. Meanwhile, observers from the Organization of American States raised concerns over the temporary suspension of the Electronic Voter Identification System, or EVIS, which affected 4 constituencies. The system was just introduced in the 2020 general election. Across Jamaica's 63 constituencies, 189 candidates were on the ballots. They were 136 men and 53 women. Both major parties, the ruling Jamaica Labour Party, led by Prime Minister Andrew Holness, and the opposition People's National Party, led by Mark Golding, contested all of the seats. Well, this evening, as you saw right here on the show last evening, we had some youth representatives, official representatives from both the JLP and the PNP joining us. But this evening, we're going to be joined by a Bahamian in Jamaica and get an idea of just through his eyes and through his vantage point exactly how these elections were. Good evening to you, Darren Turnquest. It's great to have you here. And how are you?
Good evening, Shanique, and I hope that my internet is working well enough that you could get this transmission properly. But greetings from Kingston, Jamaica. This has been an exciting time. I mean, as a Bahamian living in Jamaica, to see the political machinery over the last, 7 months has been absolutely fantastic. But also, not only just the political machinery, but to see the similarity in terms of the discussions around some of the political topics, education, looking at small and medium businesses, looking at the idea of minimum wage, looking at the concepts of, some of the utilities and how exactly we look for, opportunities for development. And I think when I look at the machinery, I look at the discussions, what I find most impressive as a Bahamian is looking at the national debates, seeing 3 ministers sitting on the platform, really discussing the issues and defending the agenda, and of course the opposition sitting and discussing their political aspirations, their agenda, their manifesto, their covenant of governance, whatever you would want to term that, and being able to give the audience an opportunity to not only read what is intended, as it relates to their political aspirations, but to discuss further or to go in depth with some of the questions. To see the engagement, as you would have seen yesterday, with some of the college students or university students and the way they engage those students. I see the work with these political parties, not seeing young people as a matter of tokenology, but getting them actively involved in the political process. I would say my feeling driving the streets this has been extremely peaceful. It's been one with excitement. You look at the songs and pure vibes. It's like election party that's happening, but with intellectual discussions that's also happening at the same time.
Yes, I too was very impressed in watching from here in the Bahamas, seeing it happen. And then, of course, just as you were saying and pointed out, to see the similarities, to see the various issues that are similar to both countries, it lets you know that, listen, we are one people with many times just identical issues that we want addressed. For example, housing, the economy,
Correct.
crime, all of these things. And I've heard from the Prime Minister to, of course, the leader of the opposition address them. The Prime Minister touting his record and what he's been able to accomplish and get done. The opposition promising further what they will do to further address the issues. Last evening on this show, I had two of the youth representatives from both political organizations on, and them also talking about opportunities, obviously to help them be able to realize their own dream in their country, etc. Were you surprised that maybe some of the you mentioned some similarities, but some of the very pointed areas that you almost thought for a moment, if you close your eyes, you were in the Bahamas?
Well, yeah, I mean, given the fact that I've been in another space before, having served in government and attended Commonwealth meetings and CARICOM meetings, you recognize that as small island development states, and, you know, Jamaica is, when you think about small, it is relative when we talk about small, but as small island development states, hearing the issues is one thing when you sit at the table and listen to the discussions, but living in a country and seeing those issues play out, you wonder, are there greater opportunities for collaboration for us to really have a think tank, right? And really utilize the international bodies to say how collectively as a region we can come together and solve these issues. Mm-hmm. You talk about crime, you talk about education, you talk about healthcare. All of these are challenges that we see in every small island development state within our region, and that is within a CARICOM region or a Commonwealth region. And so definitely it's exciting to see, but it tells me that there's more opportunity across our governments for discussions, for partnerships, for think tanks. And also, I mean, you know, this is at my heart, being a former director of youth in the country, to see young people take the charge of becoming the think tank and organizing ideas that can be, you know, executed in our respective countries, and not just within our country, mm-hmm. but a cross-section of young people who've seen these experiences from a different vantage point, who might have seen the solution or who might have seen the struggle, coming together and providing guidance to governments.
Now, let's talk about the way Jamaicans campaign. Have you seen any similarities or differences there?
Well, definitely, you know, in the Bahamas, you always see the buses picking up people and carrying people to the polling stations. I think there is so many similarities in the way it is done. But what I can say is the level of organization, the high drama, of the rallies, the experience of just paraphernalia, that in of itself mimics almost like a carnival experience. If you look at both parties, both the PNP and the JLP, and you look at just the song choices or the songs that's been written for their respective campaigns, they sing true in terms of building that feeling of emotion, that feeling of political allegiance and loyalty, but also the feeling of fun, right?
Yes.
And so you see side green versus side orange, you know, sparring out with each other in the streets in a peaceful way, mind you. I would say that, you know, Jamaica, you see it on a bigger scale. It's on a larger scale, which requires individuals to be a whole lot more organized. So take our family islands and connect them together without a mass of water between them. And that would be kind of the experience you would have in terms of pulling people from rural communities into polling stations, getting them there, getting the underserved persons, getting the elderly in place, because every vote counts, right? Mm-hmm. It's not about the value of a vote or of the socioeconomic background of the individual. This is where in countries, every individual is equal. No matter where they're from,
Absolutely.
no matter how much money they have in their bank account. And so it is important that you see the person who has been placed on that voter registration, and not only see them for who they are, but see them at the polling station.
Absolutely. Now listen, the polls have been closed there just over an hour, just over 2 hours our time, but just over an hour your time there. Any indication, any results as yet?
So, I have a party going on at my house, and I
I know
have
you. I know you
representatives from
are.
all sides. You might hear some of the noise on the side. And I think when you look at what's being reported, you see 3 boxes out of 146 boxes that's been counted. We definitely know that that is too soon to be able to determine anything. But of course, anybody who knows about elections, I've gone through elections all my life from, working along with my father, and then moving to being on the administrative ends of elections as a presiding officer. Those boxes have to reach a certain point. And of course, if you know as a returning officer or not a returning officer, as a polling agent, what polling station you can depend on versus what you cannot depend on, I believe that each one of those parties can tell by now from the returns or from ticking off that box to see who showed up with a margin of error, exactly what they're looking at or how close they are. But I think for the persons who are just sitting here watching on the television, we probably have another 3 hours or so, or maybe 2 hours before you can actually get really uncomfortable or really comfortable, depending on which side you represent.
Right, absolutely. Well, listen, thank you so much. Enjoy your party, your watch party. We over here in the Bahamas are just as excited about this election. I tell you, I would
But we
what I
have
wanted
our own
to.
election coming, right?
We
So-
absolutely do, and I wanted to say to you, social media was really capitalized by both organizations. It really played a role this election. Would you say? Or what are they saying
I would
around
say,
you?
and I wouldn't even say Instagram so much. I know you and I have been talking back and forth in the week, and I've been sending you TikToks, right? But it
TikTok.
seems to me TikTok has taken a new energy doing this
TikTok,
Jamaica
yes.
election. We see everything happening left, right, and center via TikTok. It's almost as if you can watch what's happening in communities live and direct. So this is exciting to watch.
It absolutely is. Thank you so much, Darren Turnquest, live from Jamaica this evening. I tell you, you all have brought us in because we last night and again this evening. Thank you so much. And listen, hey, have great fun with your watch party, and we will continue to kind of stay in touch and see exactly where it's trending, where the vote is trending. Thank you very much for joining me this evening.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye. Listen, don't go anywhere because when we come back, we're going to get into some more discussions. There's a lot we have to talk about this evening. For example, you heard me say the bus drivers are saying that the government has failed them. What do they mean by that? We're just getting started. This is Beyond the Headlines. Backward after this.
Cancer Treatment Centers of America is now City of Hope, creating one of the leading cancer care and research networks from coast to coast, providing more of what you need. More locations means more care closer to home. More specialists means more expertise. More research means more breakthroughs. More advancements means more treatment options. And more options means more hope. Call now to get more of the care you need.
Crack the code and win $1 million. Crack the code and win $1 million.
7 numbers, $1 million. Every 3 days, a number is revealed. Act fast. Your million is waiting.
Crack that code, win $1 million clear.
Crack the code before the last lock clicks shut. Get ready to join the winner's circle only at islandluck.com.
Dollars. Crack the code and win $1 million.
This year marks a milestone. The OWN Foundation is celebrating 10 years of impact, innovation, and inspiration. Join us for OWN Talks, September 12th at the Atlantis Resort, Paradise Island at 7 p.m. for a transformative experience under the theme, Activate. Taking the stage are world-renowned leaders and visionaries. Sebastian Bastian, visionary entrepreneur, philanthropist, and CEO of Island Luck and Wise Technology Group. Barbara Corcoran, legendary real estate mogul, entrepreneur, investor, and star of Shark Tank. Vusi Thembekwayo, global business strategist, venture capitalist, and one of Africa's most influential thought leaders. Be part of this unforgettable evening as the OWN Foundation celebrates a decade of purpose and progress. And together, we activate the future.
enjoy watching Beyond the Headlines, take advantage of our exclusive offers with 4 15-minute interview segments at $1,200 and 20 30-second TV ads at $2,000. Contact 557-0258 or 557-0259 for more information. Go beyond with Beyond the Headlines.
This segment is brought to you by EV Motors Fleet Sales Division. For 2026 commercial vehicles, call 821-2403 today.
Welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. It's good to have you all continuing to join us. Going right into the Hot Topics panel discussion. Welcome to Beyond the Headlines, our contributors Leslie Miller and Michael Turnquest. Good evening to both of you.
Good evening, Shanique. Good evening, Bahamas.
Good evening, Shanique, and good evening, Bahamas.
Gentlemen, it's wonderful seeing you both. Of course, you saw at the top of tonight's show, really the region's eyes are on Jamaica and its election there. I mean, just very quickly, you all know a lot of facts about Jamaica, the stats about how Jamaicans vote, and they don't necessarily turn out in droves to vote. We saw, of course, last evening we had 2 official representatives from both political organizations on. This evening we had a Bahamian in Jamaica on, Darren Turnquest, having his own watch party and giving some analysis and just his experience in this election season. Your thoughts on what a win either way is likely to indicate?
You know, Shanique, it's I think the whole, Darren, he's been sending me a lot of videos as relates over the past couple of months in terms of what's been happening and inspiring in Jamaica, and there's a lot of excitement. I think this election for both, I think for the Caribbean as a whole, it's a very interesting one to watch because at the end of the day, we've seen the last election, from the U.S. and Caribbean countries right on down, in terms of the trend that, changing every 5 years, and this one here to see that if the current ruling party it was to be reelected, it would then, say a lot, shine, take a turn. I'm sure the Bahamas and other, Barbados, which would have just had their own, but a lot of other Caribbean countries and places will be watching, thinking,
right.
What are we to expect
Yes.
in our upcoming general election? Even you look at the topics that are being discussed. We've seen the Prime Minister talk about livable wage and increasing minimum wage. Same thing that you see the governing party inside Jamaica is also touching. They're touching kind of on similar topics. It's almost, you hear Darren speak about, coming together in one room as a think tank. You ask yourself, did they actually sit in a room and discuss, topics that are affecting certain Caribbean countries or their own countries within, and saying, this might be the way in terms of campaigning going forward for, any upcoming general election, because this is what people might be wanting to listen or hear based on livable wage, minimum wage, things like crime and all these other things that are affecting our countries, just economic boosts for small to medium-sized businesses. So, it's like I said, it's very interesting that, to see what's going to happen there tonight, and I think it kind of paves the road for what we might see going forward in our upcoming election, or what we might need, or any party, what they might need to do in order to gain that advantage, whether, being ahead or behind.
What is interesting too, the fact that I was surprised myself as a Bahamian, that most Jamaicans over the last 20 years, less than 50% of them went to the polls. They have a tendency to stay home. And so what the governing party has done over the last few months is continue to contain their base. They know that they have a base, and they can keep the base in shape. Many people are not going to vote, they don't go to the polls. And the Prime Minister has done a wonderful job in going out, probably daily, getting his base ready for the election. At 8 o'clock when the polls close, we should see what the results are. But so far, it's been a quiet election. You didn't hear about much violence. And Jamaica is a place that normally have violence during elections. The last 2 elections have been very calm, collective, so that's a good sign that people are now coming more mature and stop all the riots and the killings,
One
so
thing,
that's a good thing.
I would say the current Prime Minister in Jamaica, you've seen over the past year, 2 years, he's really utilized social media. And everything that he's done, walking the streets on a daily basis.
Very savvy,
I was, maybe I might have watched one of his feeds some time ago, but every morning I get up and I get on Facebook or Instagram, and there's something there about him, in the streets, whether he's attending a fete or just wherever he's at, just walking the streets, meeting the people, he was very visible on social media.
Very visible, yes.
Right, and utilizing the platforms. And I know Shanique had said at the start of the show that it seemed as though, Instagram or social media might be a big, play a big role in this.
Yeah. I think everybody is getting sort of indicators from how Trump won. And you understand now that social media is the tool needed to help, whether it's a candidate or a political organization, to get ahead or to get their message out there strongly. And so not dismissing a platform like this one, but it works in hand with it. And when you pick up from here, you go on social media just to document, just continuing. I tell you, it was quite impressive just watching the social media play out in it.
One other thing that was very impressive is watching the two leaders, debate each other. I think the last debate, it was a tug of war in terms of both speaking on, who were the, corruption who was Jamaican, who was not Jamaican, and then who was done, whether it be a deal or who owns companies that owns, or bought certain things,
It's in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
Yes,
Very similar.
very similar, exactly. And so again, this show isn't just something that pays attention to national issues, but also regional and obviously international issues as well. And I want our viewers to get used to that as we invite others to also be a part of the discussion and the conversations that are hosted here on the show. Meanwhile, though, as the cost of living continues to climb, many Bahamians are asking how much longer should they shoulder the burden? Tonight, Minister of Economic Affairs is addressing those concerns, laying out the government's strategy to provide relief while defending the government's record. We get this story from Delano Roca.
Many Bahamians insist the price of food, rent, and utilities is still too high, despite government measures like reducing customs duties and cutting VAT to 5%. Minister of Economic Affairs Michael Alkitis acknowledges the pain, but reminds residents that while the government can control taxes, it cannot dictate prices set by private suppliers.
What we do not control is things like production and supply chain, and so even in the case of price control, we can mandate how much margin, meaning how much profit the sellers can make on certain items. But if those items cost the wholesaler even more to buy, so for example, if the prices are higher in the United States, and so they have to buy them at a higher price in the United States and then bring them here and then out on their profit, the prices will go up.
Alkitis says all signs point to a stable economy, so long as there are no major global disruptions. He notes the Bahamas often mirrors the United States, which is currently reporting low inflation rates.
And also, we are encouraged by the stabilization of our own fiscal situation here in the Bahamas, where we've seen an improvement in the finances, improvement in unemployment figures, and so as well inflation. So, barring any severe disruptions, particularly when we talk about oil supplies and the price of oil, which impacts so many things, we expect inflation to remain in the historic range, anywhere from 2.5% for the foreseeable future.
Alkitis admits more needs to be done. He revealed new policies are being drafted to tackle rising rental costs, a pressing issue for thousands of families. The aim, he says, is to bring greater affordability and long-term stability to households.
We all know that, there's a serious situation in terms of escalation in rents, and that is something that we will be addressing. And so when we go back to Parliament, we'll have some ideas on how we can address that. And so we are hopeful as these further reductions filter through, they will begin to see the further reductions.
Delano Roker, Eyewitness News.
Well, it's a topic certainly many Bahamians continue to want addressed and pay attention to, Leslie and Michael, and that is the cost of living. That is inflation that has been an issue now, I mean, just since, maybe even before COVID, but certainly since the pandemic. It is really just been through the roof, and there's not been much easing since then. Your thoughts on how the government is trying to walk through this?
You know, Shanique, I've always said, in terms of any governing party, in terms of when you're governing a nation, you know, there's a lot of things that there's certain things that's out of your control, and I think the minister is correct. There's, you know, private, I would say entities, is very hard for you to tell them what they can charge or what things are being sold in the markups. You know, but certain things governments do have control on.
Especially the cost of electricity.
Yeah, you know, cost of electricity, things of that sort. You know, the taxes or the duties that on certain goods, in terms of whether it be relief on certain items. Of course, VAT is something that, you know, I think the government tried to relieve certain items. I think there's still some work that can be done there. But also from a government standpoint, you know, there are certain things I always say. We have a government that continues, you know, spending is one thing, but always cutting back. You can't spend, tax. But at the end of the day, your expenditure, not cutting back on you have to cut back on spending at some point. Because at the end of the day, it's still the taxpayers' money that is basically fueling these government, I would say, government corporations, things of that sort. You know, we always spoke on BPL. I said over and over, this particular deal might not be the best deal for us, because at the end of the day, those that are heavily invested, they want to see some type of return on their investments, and they want to see it sooner rather than later. At the end of the day, we're not going to see a big decrease in our electricity bills. You know, we heard the CEO mentioned some time ago in terms of over the summer months, you know, they have to now move from Clifton and go start using the generators that I think that they rent, which uses regular diesel. Yeah. Which increases our price. But at the end of the day, you know, Bahamians don't want to hear that at this particular point in time, especially when we've already gone through a restructuring of BPL in terms of selling off this, that, the next. We talk about bringing LNG, you know, to Clifton Pier, talk about solar, talk about new generators that was installed, I think, about 2 years ago down at Clifton. You know, you can't tell this is the solution, but at the end of the day, 6 months later, the Bahamian people are still feeling the burden, the pain, especially going back to school. Over the past 2 months, our electricity bills have been the highest that they've been for months. I mean, almost a year. And now people are trying to get their kids back in school, that being purchasing school goods, uniforms, and then plus had to try to keep the light on
the fees, eh?
Yeah. So, you know, but some people it's burdensome. They're going to feel it going in, like a cloud is on top of them going into this particular, you know, school year. And some kids, you know, hopefully thank for some of the, I would say, the businesses, you know, assisting with school supplies and backpacks and things of that sort. It relieves some of the burden, but at the end of the day, you know, it's still up to the government, especially from BPL, to step up to the plate and deliver what they said they would give the people, which is lower electricity bills. And people can't wait another 2 years to see this.
I'd say it's a really difficult burden that has been placed on the back of the average ordinary Bahamian since COVID. I'm convinced that price has gone up almost 30% in most areas.
More than that.
But when you look at the cost of rental units, and it bothers me. Now they go into these communities, Stapleton is right there. A regular apartment, 2 bedroom used to cost $900 to $1,300 or $1,100. It's now $2,000. And there's no justification for it. That's what gets me. But people are saying, when you have discussions with them, that even for the Airbnb, because people are going to keep their places better than renting to Bahamians, who has a tendency to destroy your place before they leave because they're mad that they're paying rent. The high cost of electricity is an onerous bill on the backs of every Bahamian. We were told it was going to be much lower than it is, but that's an argument that we can have all summer. People are saying only because you use more, Bahamians do not accept that. I mean, I don't use more. I use one air conditioner a night, around about 9, 10 o'clock, till about 6 in the morning when I get up. My bill has increased. I mean, everybody's bill has increased. And this thing about, you know, because you're using more and whatever the hell it is, people just aren't buying it.
Yeah, but I think even that's been proven to be, I guess, somewhat a myth, because at the end of the day, they just said it's because, no, it's not really because we're using more. It's because now you've switched, you've been to different equipment.
You have to bring on other engines and other generators, Leslie. You had to bring them on stream. And the fuel is more.
Yeah, what you got to realize, and I said it to the lady who was here, the chairman. 3 years ago, 4 years ago, an engine burning down the Clifton, 32 megawatts of power. That's a massive engine. Was never repaired. The insurance company came from London. They said it was unfixable. It's going to cost some $18 million. It's still sitting there on the ground. Why not would have been cheaper? Because if you got Clifton running at optimum capacity, your rate is going to go down by 30 to 40%.
There's no
Because they're
reason-
using heavy fuel oil.
Yeah, there's no reason to go to Blue Hill.
Blue Hill use
Diesel, regular
Diesel.
diesel.
This is expensive as hell.
$5.75 a gallon.
and that's part, and not only that, you're wrecking
Yeah.
electricity. Now, you know, when this LNG come into play, I don't want to get in that situation because I've been there 20 years ago, when we're getting it for free. Okay? And of course, the big boys who were part of the inner circle decided that wasn't going to happen. That was tailor-made for this select group of payments. And that's exactly what happened. We should see now how the cost is going to go, and they can come with some other foolishness about what the price is for LNG in the United States, on the Eastern Seaboard, in Florida, etc. They will have an excuse to rip the public off. It's the public that always carry the burden. The poor man always carry the burden for the rich.
What I always came to thought, you know, why wasn't LNG good 20 years ago? And why is it good today? And it's going through the same seabed.
The lady who used to kill me every damn week of my life, what's her name? The little damn crazy woman. you haven't heard from us since. It's just that people in this country have so much sway and say, a select group, all right, that they will get rid of those who are trying to assist the majority to make sure that the minority is in full control. And I believe with all my heart that after this whole thing is settled, we're going to see exactly who the owners are of BPL, who the owners are of all those side, they got about 6 or 10 side companies. Who the hell own those companies? We can be surprised and shocked that the same damn crew that stopped it 20 years ago is the same crew now going to get the benefits financially, and people will be the same ones suffering again and again and again. But that's the story for another day.
It's unfortunate.
We will continue to watch that because it's quite interesting to watch and it's vexing. I want to add here, though, just for context, that electricity is going up everywhere. I mean, whether it's Arkansas, Florida, all of it. But what's happening too, and they too are also at the same time undergoing, I don't know if they call it an energy reform, but upgrades and modernization to the power grid. And so while it's going up, it's nowhere near what we are paying. But just to kind of put that there so that we can understand what's happening elsewhere, and obviously maybe have just an understanding of what's happening here.
I could articulate that for you in 5 seconds. The margins on fuel, imported fuels in the Caribbean, Jamaica, Barbados, Trinidad, all of them, is an average between 5 to 15 cents on a gallon of fuel. In the Bahamas, they get as much as over $1 when combined. But $1.50, that's the problem. When I was Minister of Trade and Industry, I said, listen, we will do the same thing what the other Caribbean countries do. But you don't know who the hell was buying the companies. Yeah. The same people who sit in the room with are the same ones negotiating behind the table. And they cut your legs off from under you. Wow. And that's what happened. Wow. Not knowing that, why are you letting us suffer when we could do better? They don't want you to do better.
But, you know, for years and years, we've seen it done around the world. There's so much clean alternative measures in terms of whether it be solar or wind. We have currents that run through our harbors and different places. Yes, yeah. You know,
it's not going to happen until they want it to happen. And they ain't going to want it to happen until they finish getting rid of what they have. And there's a better option. And that option is going to go to them. It's just a cartel.
Yeah, if you look at it over the years from BPL, whereas though when homes wanted, you know, I would say consumers wanted to go to the solar route, it was almost illegal. It was illegal.
BEC refused to take the energy in the day.
But even if you have an off-grid system, they still said you should not be off the grid. You need to be connected.
You still have to be connected.
And my thing is, if you can't service me, but you still want me to be connected to you.
Yes.
So it has to be some type of a monopoly that wants you to say, hey, at the end of the day, it's me or nothing.
Yeah.
And the sad part is when people are still saddling with over $500 million in debt that is being cut by BPL. Over $500 million. That's going to be on the backs of the average, ordinary Bahamian. It's going to pay that bill. These people who you see coming with all these new companies, they don't have a damn thing to do with that bill. That is your bill. You keep it. We don't want nothing to do with it. And that's why they can be profitable. Because they have no damn bills.
And we have thousands of crown land throughout the Bahamas that can be used for solar fields, that can be used for wind farms. all kind of things.
It will only happen when they want it to happen.
Yeah. It's, you know.
They call in the shots. Remember that.
That there is
It's
a vexing
unfortunate.
thing to think about as we go to the break. When we come back, we're going to go to Spanish Wells, Eleuthera, where parents, even some teachers, are quite angry over a teacher shortage. We'll tell you about that when we come back right after this break. Stay close.
Fly fishing for me is kind of a way of life. My father was one of the pioneers that started the fly fishing industry.
I grew up around the industry, but it was mostly spin fishing until the invention of the fly that changed the whole fly fishing industry as we know it today.
Well, fly fishing, in my opinion, is an art form that subscribes to artificially inducing a fish to take a lure.
It's fishing, but it's more like hunting than anything else.
So it is hunting, one aspect of it is, and the second of it is creating a lure that you are imitating that is of the environment.
You're actually stimulating the bite by them visually seeing the actual lure that you're sending to them.
Crazy Charlie is the fly that revolutionized, as we know, the saltwater fly fishing industry. It was invented by my father. He recalls seeing the bonefish chasing a little bait fish called a minnow. He took a couple chicken feathers and some bead eyes of a military tag, and that was the beginning of the advancement of saltwater fly fishing industry on the flats as we know it today. The importance of that fly allow you to be able to fish for bonefish in various depths of water.
Captain Rupert Lead, my dad, who's also a pioneer in the industry, his fly was called the gotcha fly, and it emulates two things: the minnows, which is a small bait fish, and also a shrimp pattern. See, there's so many legends that I'm now standing on. Percy Dowell, Ivan Nemo, who would have passed, Raymond Mackey, you've got Sidney Nemore, Carl Moxie. These guys were filled with knowledge. They were self-imposed scientists. They saw these fish act in a certain way, and they know how to target them on specific tides. I feel extremely proud to carry the baton on, knowing that I can actually teach other youngsters how to carry the mantra, and they themselves can pass it on to other generations.
So you want a space. But not just any space. You need something with a little more potential. So how about 1,000 square feet of room to play with? Superb audio and video production capability, digital LED wall, full lighting grid, and about 124 seats to accommodate a full studio audience with so many other features. Make us your home for your next concert, conference, and so much more. Honestly, the possibilities are endless. Here at ILTV Studios, we'd love to bring your next event to life. So what do you say? Do you want our space?
If you enjoy watching Beyond the Headlines, take advantage of our exclusive offers with 4 15-minute interview segments at $1,200 and 20 30-second TV ads at $2,000. Contact 557-0258 or 557-0259 for more information. Go beyond with Beyond the Headlines.
This segment is brought to you by EV Motors Fleet Sales Division. For 2026 commercial vehicles, call 821-2403 today.
Well, not only do we want to welcome you as a part of our family of sponsors, we certainly, of course, have a special election rate that's happening right now. And so if you want to have your party, your political organization featured, come in on a live interview, sponsor segments, or perhaps purchase an entire show, that's possible this election season. Certainly reach out to the sales and marketing division here at Eyewitness News, and they will help you come up with a wonderful package that'll help get your message out there, your mandate, and of course help the Bahamian people get to know you a little bit better as well. And so check out our election packages. We certainly look forward to welcoming you on. And of course, you businesses out there, get on board quick, because this would be the spot as well to get noticed as we go more into this election season. And so once again, give the sales and marketing team a call. Well, the shortage of teachers on one family island is reaching or has reached by now a boiling point, and parents and staff say they've been forced to operate under dire situations and circumstances for too long. We get the story from Linton Ritchie Jr. and then we come back and talk about it.
Uncertainty, instability, and disarray. That's how parents, faculty, and staff of the Samuel Guy Pinder All-Age School in Spanish Wells, Eleuthera are describing the campus environment as the new academic year begins without a principal and with a shortage of teachers. With early education critical to children's development, parents say the situation is disturbing and accuse authorities of showing no urgency.
Honestly, it makes me feel uneasy about everything, especially with him just starting first grade.
My son is in grade 2. There has been no communication as it relates to teachers.
Teachers are said to be, quote, stretched thin, forced to multi-grade, grouping grades 1, 2, and 3 into one classroom, creating overcrowding and limiting individual attention. Pastor Brooks Russell of the Spanish Wells Methodist Church says parents simply want answers. When will teaching postings be filled? Who will lead as principal? And what's the timeline? He insists the priority must be the children's education.
It's always the beginning of a school year. It seems to be always really unorganized. We have to put our personal agendas and political agendas aside.
Another parent echoing similar frustrations, pointing out this is not new. The same issues plagued the school during the last academic year.
It feels like every year, last minute, the ministry is running around trying to place teachers. This can't be done during the summer break when teachers are off for 2 and 3 months.
Insiders telling Eyewitness News that one teacher is expected to be assigned to the school, but claim the move is delayed until a relocation allowance is processed. Even so, parents say one additional teacher is far from enough. Bahamas Union of Teachers president also blasted the government earlier this week as the new academic year started, noting that these issues are not isolated and have been a recurring problem for years.
Pay them the geographical posting allowance so that we can get these teachers in school. And it's so sad that every year we have the same problem.
Eyewitness News reached out to Ministry of Education officials for comment, but our efforts were unsuccessful up to news time. Linton Ritchie Jr., Eyewitness News.
Well, the Ministry of Education and Director of Education, Dominique McCartney Russell, spoke with Eyewitness News just before we went on air for news. Russell says the leadership of Samuel Guy Pinder All-Age School requested a reassignment to New Providence this summer. In response, the ministry will assign a new officer to assume leadership responsibility, she says. Additionally, she also says 3 teachers are scheduled for deployment to the Samuel Guy All-Age School to accommodate the increase in student enrollment. And she says the ministry is responding to the needs of the island and of students there on Spanish Wells, Eleuthera. Leslie and Michael, those parents are vexed, and rightly so. They want to ensure that at the beginning of a school year, everything starts off evenly and in the best possible way so that their kids can be able to just go and focus on what needs to be focused on, which is the lesson.
You know, Shanique, we've said over and over, you know, the education is the backbone of our country. We've said over and over. You know, my mother was a teacher for some 40 plus years at Uriah McPhee, teaching grade 1. You know, teachers in the Bahamas, especially government school teachers, don't make much. You know, we talk about the cost of living, which has continued to go up, but you have salaries that are not moving with it. You have school systems that are somewhat broken as it relates to whether it be, you know, kids coming in and causing commotion, wanting to fight teachers, parents wanting to come.
Same thing.
You know, and it's almost become like a little small mini war zone in the system. You know, that's not attractive anymore to, I would say, young individuals, even some of the older ones who just, or some of them, we have teachers that are exiting the system and finding other career paths to go. You know, I have a young cousin who would have left the system and went to become, her passion was also to be a chef. And went and, you know, sought other things because it was too stressful in the system, especially making, you know, such small money when things could be less of a burden doing something else. I mean, there's a lot of issues that needs to be addressed. One being, you know, we need teachers to put real time into a lot of these students that are falling by the wayside. You know, we see a generation after generation we've lost whether it be, just if parents aren't taking time with them, at least they spend a lot of time within, 8 o'clock in the morning until 3 in the afternoon, where teachers then would put time into them. But it's very difficult for teachers even now to do their job because of parents getting involved and basically not parenting at home and then wanting to come to the school and intervene in terms of how their son or daughter is treated. Parents can't continue to do this. If you can't put discipline in your child at home, then of course you would expect that somebody in the system, the school system, would want to be there to try fill in the gap.
They don't want that.
Yeah, but they don't want that. So this is becoming a vexing issue for teachers.
It is, because if you all will remember, the end of last semester, vice principal in Grand Bahama was in there tidying up, before they actually closed school. And there she thought a parent came to collect a report card a day later and was attacked by a male.
Shanique, if a teacher was guaranteed that, hey, you're going to send me the Spanish Wells, so I'm pretty sure Spanish Wells is much calmer. The kids are very well, they're disciplined. There's a family structure in most of these small islands. If you can guarantee that they'll be there for the rest of their career and they can start a life there, then a lot of teachers would go ahead and they would do it. But then you have the system, the way that it's set up now, some teachers may spend 2 years in Spanish Wells and then be reassigned to some other island, which then causes, hey, I'm not coming, and a lot of them aren't coming to New Providence, which a lot of them, they want them to start there.
Yeah.
But nobody wants, in some of our schools, I'm sad to say it, but it's a little war zone where as though teachers are scared to be in the system within New Providence.
Teaching is such a noble profession. And you still have very many good teachers around. But speaking with teachers, you would have a teacher that worked for the last 35 years of their life. Master's degree, teaching kids in all grades. The salary is never going to go above $35,000.
No, not on a master's level though.
And yes.
Yeah. Oh man,
yeah, and after retirement of 35 years, you're not going to take home more than $1,500 a month. They're just not going to do it anymore. And then there's parents, you got really children having children, eh? So you'll have a 22-year-old mother coming to school with an 8-year-old or 10-year-old child want to know why you have to spank my child. Because he used a curse word, or because he slapped someone or hit someone. They want to fight the teacher. And teachers get fed up with it. The ministry was begging former teachers to come back, and they said 7 out of 10 said they wouldn't do it. First of all, the salaries got increased, eh?
Yeah.
There must be an increase. That's the bread, that's the backbone of every country on God's earth, is education.
Yeah.
The police likewise, who protect our lives every day. You have to give them a salary that's commensurate with the output that they give us on a daily basis and how important it is to the country as a whole. We have to restructure and reformulate to make these people appreciated, that they feel appreciated.
And the problem is when you have that central, I call it that's the spine of our nation.
Yes.
That's the membrane of everything that happens. And when you have those individuals that leave that system and branch off to other organizations like the police force, the defense force, what do you expect to happen? You expect those organizations will start to crumble eventually because the product that's coming out of those institutions are not up to standard and they are not representing us the way that it should be, and then their professionalism is not there because, of course, the membrane or the spine was never well put together before sending them out to do whatever jobs they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
It's an effect that's just going to continue. It's a domino effect that's just going to continue if we don't fix the problem, which is the teachers first take care of them, and then, of course, we need to fix the system.
Yeah.
It's a tall order.
It's a lot of work to do.
I'll tell you the truth. It is a lot of work to do.
But if we don't fix it,
a lot.
You're not going to have a country left.
Well, listen, gentlemen, tonight the Bus Unified Drivers Union is accusing the government of failing them on several issues, arguing that for far too long, drivers have been left to feel disenfranchised for their services. The jitney drivers, yes, sir. Union Secretary General Corvell Colbrook sounding the alarm on a number of issues near one of the island's busiest bus stops. Chief among them, another fare increase and proper tools for road traffic employees for patrol.
Well, the fare is what we've been asking for, that the bus fare should have been brought up to $2 per person for senior, not for senior, for adults. As I say, cost of living has skyrocketed, fuel and parts. But as I said again, it's like they want us to fail. There are not proper patrols on the road and checks and balances. Like everybody else, they have our HR office. We have road traffic. We have road traffic laws. But they are not, and I am talking about the Ministry of Transportation, providing the right tools that is needed for road traffic to do their job. Why is it that we cannot have proper shelters and proper bus stops down? Why is it we have to be back and forth with this over and over, having to complain about the government doing their job as it pertains to the busing system? Millions of dollars are paid in taxes from the system. Every day that we go to the gas station for fuel, millions of dollars are paid in fuel taxes, and yet we cannot get anything done. The last time the union has met with the present minister, which would be Jacoby Davis, has been some 15 to 16 months.
Michael, stand by. Gentlemen, your thoughts on what this the Secretary General of the Bus Drivers Union is saying tonight? That listen, from the respect and road traffic rules, from properly developed bus stops, that provide proper shades for passengers. I tell you, I can count where I see them. I do remember there was a time when there were many bus stops, sheltered ones.
Yeah, not too many.
But they have been destroyed by people who just go and break them down, or vehicles running into them. And your thoughts about just all that the jitney drivers are now saying?
Shanique, he had some valid points in terms of there being proper bus stops, but then at the end of the day, you need to have responsible bus drivers who will actually stop to those stops.
Okay.
And this is where the issue continues to come in, because we still continue to have irresponsible drivers, bus drivers that is, speeding up and down, overtaking. It's like they're having some type of a race to who can get to the next.
Exactly.
We still need to have some type of organization within that particular, I would say, industry, whether it be speed limits, whether it be loud music not playing, with them being hanging up around schools, picking up, waiting for whoever it is that they're waiting on. There's so much other things that needs to be addressed in this industry. I understand that the government, there are some infrastructural issues that needs to be addressed, where they can pull to the side and be out of the way of the traffic. But even when we did have those things,
they didn't give
they didn't give two, in terms of following the rules.
Yeah.
And to this day, they're still not following the rules.
What are your thoughts about you both about a call for a fare increase?
I agree with the good gentleman that it's probably time for the fares to go up. The dollar really can't get you too far.
I think it's now 150.
150, but when you look at the high costs of petroleum, it's really been a strain on them. But there's another problem. How many times are they going to disgrace us with having tourists on their bus and have these treacherous fights all over this country? At the hotels, on Bay Street. You have seen them, all of us have seen them. We've seen the guy hit each other with cutlass over repeatedly, the loud music, the profanity. I agree with him again that because on Prince Charles Drive, there are no bus stops. The bus stop is not a gas stations. You have to pull into the gas station to stop. I accept that there should be proper bus stops. So when there were bus stops, like you said, Mike, they never acceded to anything. They did their own thing and running the red lights. For God's sake, man, you do it every single day, every single night. And people have been hurt in it before, and you need to stop. You need to show some more patronage for your customers and show some more respect for those persons who are on your bus, and especially the people who are walking.
Yeah.
You all drive like a bat out of hell, and you wouldn't stop.
But
and the caliber of men that you have driving the bus too, okay? They're demeanor, the way they dress, the way they speak. You have to upgrade yourself to get an upgrade for the 25 cents that you probably want. I agree with you need an increase. Yeah. I accept that. But you got to give the public something back in return, eh?
Yeah.
Have respect for people's safety. Have respect for the kids that you have that you're carrying on the bus daily. I mean, this is all a part of what we're putting into the minds of our young kids that they're picking up from whatever school it may be.
Yes.
They're putting them on these buses, and then some are being brainwashed by, taking them around for drives, all day. Some school kids just jump on the bus and they just go ride all day. Whether it be male or female, but at the end of the day, they're brainwashing them. You might as well just go drop them off somewhere into some gangs. Yeah, but this is where if you have respect for those persons and for their safety and things, that when you put them on your bus, then people might get behind you and say, hey, give you a $2.50. I don't mind paying $2.50 right up here.
So the union needs to obviously overhaul itself.
Yes.
It needs to do its own self-audit, exactly.
I would pay $3 to go around this town. If I could do a full, to go from here to Cable Beach for $3, I'll pay it. Once I feel safe, I'll jump on a bus and it's secure.
You're not going to hear the profanity. You're not going to hear them fighting each other with damn cutlass.
Remember the shooting between the two bus drivers?
Yes.
I tell you.
Just a couple of weeks ago, I think there was a lady was trying to separate two. Stop, you all, please, and one from the trying with a cutlass.
Cutlass in his hand.
It's ridiculous.
Disgraceful, man. But I don't understand. The government has to play a role. Those bus drivers who have been doing that for so long, they got to be replaced.
Or franchises.
Happens to them.
Take the franchise.
They got to be replaced. Take the franchise and give it to someone else.
You want to continue to hire.
I've never seen that happen.
If you want to continue to hire misfits, then you should not be allowed to hold a license.
To operate.
It has nothing to do with politics. But I'm a FNM, I'm a PLP, and I think I'd get a bus driver.
Stop hiring misfits.
It is not right.
Gentlemen, I thank you both very, very much. Of course, at the top of tonight's show, Darren Turnquest live from Jamaica as he gave the Bahamian point of view and viewpoint of the Jamaican election happened today. Of course, the polls are closed now and they are now tallying the votes. And we will see exactly what the outcome is. I thank, of course, in the last two segments, Leslie Miller, Michael Turnquest, thank you both as well. And I want to thank all of you for tuning in this evening. Certainly enjoyed having you along, and I look forward to seeing you right back here tomorrow evening. For the entire Beyond the Headlines team, I'm Shanique Miller. Make it a great evening, everyone.